pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. Consider a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Sean, we call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. We'll move on to our consent agenda. Consider a motion to approve.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll
Second.
I have a second from Commissioner Gibbon. Sean, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. We'll move on to our opportunity for public comment. Anyone who wishes to address the board can come on up. Be limited in time to 5 minutes per speaker. There's a maximum of 30 minutes available per meeting for the public comment. Anyone want to come up? We're starting our Board of Equalization meeting. So would everyone please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance?
We already did that.
I know, that's why I'm like, why do I have two of these?
We didn't take the Pledge of Allegiance off there. I don't think that we necessarily would have to do it.
Yeah, you.
All right, so we've got a consent agenda on our Board of Equalization agenda.
But
We do need to convene as the County Board of
Right.
Equalization.
It's confusing, but it's the extent that we have to do it. So
I'll move to convene as County Board of Equalization.
I swore that's what we did before, but I'll second that.
No, it was Consolidated.
Thank
Board.
you, but that's how lovely this is. You have a motion and a second, Sean.
Thank you. Call the roll, Sean.
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes.
I think we just took another 3 minutes.
Now can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda on our Board of Equalization agenda?
Move to-
Madam Chair.
Second.
Thank you. Sean, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Our first Board of Equalization hearing is scheduled for 10 o'clock, so we'll take a break until 10 o'clock, I guess.
I did on the letter state that, can we start early?
No, we cannot.
We cannot start early.
So we'll take a break till 10 o'clock.
Coffee. Yeah, 3. You were good to go?
So we have our 10 o'clock appeal. Go ahead. People are calling in? Okay. And they're giving me a thumbs up, so go ahead.
Our first appeal is Gordon and Angela Barrow. They're located at 805 Maya Street, Harrisburg, South Dakota. Parcel number 270.74.12.003. It's a appeal in regards to the classification of their property, specifically the owner-occupied status. You can see in our first slide, the Barrows purchased the property in August of 2021. On the second page, I have a note that says the property was previously classed as owner-occupied at the time of purchase. So had the Barrows filled out their certificate of real estate value in that bottom yellow section, it would have continued the owner-occupied classification, but they did not fill out the application at the time of transfer. We sent 2 notices to the Barrows during the between November 1st, 2021 and January 15th about 2022 for the owner-occupied classification to apply. Once they did not apply within the timeline we thought was considered for making the determination of the owner-occupied classification prior to assessments going out. We sent a notice of review of owner-occupied to the borrows in 2/9 of '22, that the property has transferred to a new owner, and there's no owner-occupied certificate on file. And that was sent February 9th, 2022. You'll also see on their assessment notice, it was stating it was not owner-occupied. In yellow, it says the residential and commercial equals non-owner occupied. You can see in the second yellow, we have it as residential, refer back to the top. But it also states within the assessment notice itself is to, pay attention. There's an owner-occupied classification that's going to give you a tax benefit, and that's highlighted in that bottom yellow. So there's the fourth notification. By law, you have to own it and occupy it as of November 1 of the preceding year, and have the owner-occupied certificate sent back to our office by March 15. And the application for owner-occupied was not received in the Lincoln County Director of Equalization office.
Thank you. Is the applicant present?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, can you state your name and address, please?
Yes, ma'am. My name is Gordon Tanacero at 804 of Maya Street, Harrisburg, 57032.
What would you like us to know about your appeal?
Well, I will say that we honestly didn't get the first two notifications. The reason why I don't know, but we didn't get any kind of notification. And I would say our biggest appeal that we'd be making is I feel like our realtor kind of let us down on. This is technically not our first home. Like we owned a condo before, but this is our first house, and we didn't get the proper walkthrough on how to fill out any of this paperwork. And I think the only notice that we really got was from our mortgage loan officer, and that was in March or something. And yeah, we got a notification, but we weren't really sure what it was or what it was about, and we thought it was important. So what we decided to do is just to take care of that when we did our taxes. We thought it was something that had to do with our taxes, and so that when we get to our when we did our taxes on March 21st, that's when we found out that this was a big mistake. Big uh-oh, So again, I've just been told that this was something that our realtor really helps walk through, and just kind of reminds us and shows us how to, all the forms. Unfortunately, we did not have that with our realtor, and the notice mail we didn't get.
Got the one that was dated 2/19, and that's the one we took to the CPA, and she told us that our CPA was taking care of that.
Ma'am, I'm sorry. Gordon's speaking. If you'd like to be recognized, can you just state your name, please, on the record before you speak?
Yeah, I'm his wife. My name's Angela Barrow.
Okay, and what did you want us to know, Angela?
We got that letter that's dated 2/19 that says we need to send in the letter, a letter to appeal. And that's the one we took to our CPA, and she's the one that told us that our realtor usually takes care of that. And that's when we found out that it wasn't taken care of. So we weren't even aware of what it was or that we had to do anything, because everyone we spoke with, our loan officer also told us that usually the realtor takes care of that for us as well.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions for either Carla or the Barrows?
What was the date that they actually did submit on the application for owner occupied? Or what date did you receive it?
What was the date?
What was the date we received it?
That question for our staff, thank you.
Oh, sorry.
I do not have an application on file as of today.
Still don't have an application? Oh. Mr. Mercer Burrow, did you hear that? There's no application yet as of date, to date for owner occupied?
Yep, and I tried to, and by the time I tried, it was already, like, the link would not work. A lady at the courthouse was trying to walk me through it. She told me the website. We were all over the phone talking about it, and then she said, you're going to just have to come in and submit a letter of appeal. And so that's what I did.
But we
I tried
don't
to
have
do
one
it.
for next year even.
Is that something we can already do right now? Or
You
we
can
have to
do
wait for
that, and
November?
yes,
We don't have to wait for November 1st to do
no.
No, you should
Okay.
not wait until November 1st.
it. Okay.
Like I said, guys, this is our, with all due respect, this is our first rodeo, and again, our realtor we've had no communication with them as far as how any of this is supposed to go. So all the information we're getting via email, or we're contacting the clerk of courts, and just the communication is it's just foreign to us. We're not really sure what to do. So just whatever the process is, if you walk us through it, we're willing to do whatever we need to do to make it right.
Great, we've heard the request and we've heard the reasoning for the not being owner occupied filed. What action does the board want to take?
I'll offer a motion to approve the owner occupied status, and I will not be supporting the motion though.
I've got a motion to award the owner occupied status. Is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second to award the status. Any further discussion? If not, Sean, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
No.
Commissioner Gibbon? No. Commissioner Poppins?
No.
Commissioner Schmidt?
No.
Commissioner Landine?
No. So get your paperwork in so that doesn't happen again.
Oh, okay, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yep, I'm sorry that maybe you're a realtor or the
Madam
closing
Chair?
company didn't
Madam
explain
Chair?
that very well to you.
If I could, before they hang up, would you call the Sioux Empire Housing Partnership, and they will walk you through the entire process and make sure that you have it correct and on time. And you can look that number up, that's 605-339-0942.
Okay, one second, sir. I'm gonna write this down.
It's called the Sioux Empire Housing Partnership.
Sioux Empire
Housing Partnership, yeah. And it wouldn't be adverse, or, I used to run this place, to take the course for home buyers, for the first-time home buyers, and you will have kind of a complete understanding of all the responsibilities you have when you purchase a home. But I would call them, and they will help you walk through the entire process.
All right, thank you. We're going to move on to our next appeal.
Our next appeal is a classification for owner-occupied status. It's under the name of Brianna and Austin Whitley, parcel number 240.93.08.005. You can see on the information that I provided that they purchased the property November 5th, 2021, so after the deadline. It was a new construction property. An owner-occupied certificate was filed within the Lincoln County Equalization Office. Property owners stated on there they did not own it November 1st of 2021, nor did they occupy it November 1st of 2021. We sent a review in February of 2022, that they did not own it or occupy it as of November 2021. Per law, you have to own it and occupy it and submit the application to the Equalization Office by March 15 of the next year. So therefore, the Assessor's Office recommends no change, meaning they do not qualify for the owner-occupied status.
Right, and is the appellant here? Right. Is there someone with us on the phone for this hearing?
Yep, I'm here.
And can you just state your name and address, please?
Yep, Brianna Whitley, 600 North Summit Avenue in T.
All right, and Ms. Whitley, can you just tell us what you'd like us to know about your appeal?
Yeah, I just, I guess never dealt with this before, and we were made when we closed on our house, they told us we definitely have to submit for owner-occupied status. Like, they made it like a big deal, kind of. So I was just a little surprised when it was denied, and I guess the only question I have is, if it's denied, that's fine. Do I then have to like resubmit my request for next year then, or how does that all work?
That's correct.
Okay. So is it just because we didn't move in by the 1st and it was on the 5th of November that we can't get the owner-occupied status, or is it because it's new construction, or?
Unfortunately, that's correct because it was after that November 1st deadline.
Okay. All right. Well, that kind of clears everything up then.
I do have a question for staff.
Yeah, go ahead.
Was this property fully assessed on November 1st or for the tax year, or was it still in construction so that it wasn't completely assessed currently? It
For the
is-
22 assessment year, it will be fully assessed.
It is fully assessed as completed?
Yes.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions for staff or Ms. Whitley? If not, consider a motion.
I'll move to approve it, but again, unfortunately, not going to be able to support it due to the fact that you didn't own it or occupy it on the November 1st requirement.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, Sean, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
No.
Commissioner Gibbon,
No.
Commissioner Poppins.
No.
Commissioner Schmidt,
No.
Commissioner Landine.
No. All right, Ms. Whitley, just get your paperwork filled out and sent in to get that changed.
Okay, I'm sorry, I don't quite understand. What do I have to fill out?
Owner occupied.
Go ahead,
Ms.
Carla.
Whitley, if you would submit your owner-occupied status for the
next year.
23 assessment year prior to March 15th, 2023. It should be available. You can call our office. We can send you a form. I believe the state website will be available sometime late summer, early spring of this year.
Okay.
Okay,
All
thank
right.
you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Congratulations on your new home, though.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have the other person on the line so we can start?
Yeah, well, we still can't start.
If they're on the line, I think we can we?
Our next appeal is Joshua and Jenna Fisher, located
Do we have
We're
Fishers
3
on the
minutes early,
phone?
so
Oh.
are
Okay,
they
okay.
on?
They're on.
Hello?
Hi.
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 Is this Jenna?
Yes, it is.
Okay, Jenna. We're gonna go ahead and the auditor's gonna speak about your request and then you'll get a chance when she's done, okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
You said auditor.
Or, excuse me, Director of Equalization, not the auditor.
Okay.
Our next appeal is Joshua and Jenna Fisher, located at 909 South Harrison Street in Lenox, South Dakota. Parcel number 250.85.03.008. The appeal is for the owner-occupied classification. The homeowners did own the property November 1, 2021. I believe they purchased it in May of 2021.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I'm on the wrong one. I apologize. Excuse me, I am pulling up your property as
No, that's the correct property.
There was a transfer of ownership on this property at the Lincoln County Treasurer's Office. It is a mobile home located in Lenox. The paperwork was filed appropriately. We did send two owner-occupied certificates to the stated address. None of which have been returned. We also sent a notice of review to the property owner in February 17th, 2022, that it is under new ownership and no new application for owner-occupied status has been submitted to our office. They did receive an assessment notice stating it was not owner-occupied, and it's clearly stated by law how the owner-occupied properties is a tax benefit. We did receive a notice, or excuse me, an application for owner-occupied status in March 22nd, 2022, in which we sent a denial to the property based on that application because it was submitted after the deadline of March 15. Staff recommendation is denial of the owner-occupied status.
Okay, Ms. Fisher, go ahead and let us know what you'd like us to about your appeal.
Yes, ma'am. I am a mother of four, and we just moved to South Dakota. I've never filled out an owner-occupied before, so I was going to come down to the county and ask about what the form was. I didn't know what it was. It seems ignorant, but it was. And when I was going to come down, I was going to do my registration as well to kill two birds with one stone. And unfortunately, I had to go to Texas on the day that I was going to come down because my father had a heart attack. And I'm not asking necessarily for... I filled out a request to do this because I was told to. I didn't realize I'm a person who follows rules. I understand I didn't make the deadline, so I'm understanding if the deadline is hard and I am not getting the owner-occupied status for next year, and I will fill out the paperwork correctly next year.
Anybody have any questions for staff or Ms. Fisher? If not, is there a motion?
I'll offer the motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, Sean, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
No.
Commissioner Gibbon,
No.
Commissioner Poppins,
No.
Commissioner Schmidt,
No.
Commissioner Landine.
No. Ma'am, thank you for the appeal, and I'm sorry that you didn't know the process, but get that paperwork filled out for this year, and then that shouldn't be a problem the next go-around.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next hearing is not scheduled till 10:40, but do we,
10:30.
or excuse me, 10:30. Do we have Ms. Brady on the phone? Not yet?
Take a 5-minute break or?
Or is she here? No?
We did not receive an RSVP from the appellant as well.
Then we have to wait till 10:30.
Yep, then we're gonna wait, so we're gonna take a break until 10:30. Is Wanda Brady present? All right, Carla, why don't you just go ahead and explain?
Our next appeal is property classification appeal for the owner-occupied status. Property owned by Wanda Brady at 220 South Ash Street in Lenox, South Dakota. It's parcel 250.33.00.034A. Ms. Brady purchased the property in September of 2020. Again, if the certificate of real estate value had been properly filled out, the property was previously owner occupied. By filling out that form on the certificate of real estate value, she would have continued the owner occupied status. You can see from the form that she did not fill out that portion of the certificate of real estate value. We sent 2 notices with the owner occupied certificate to the 220 South Ash Street, none of which were returned to our office. Therefore, we sent a review of owner occupied status saying it had transferred to a new owner and no new application for owner occupied status had been submitted to our office. Assessment notice shows that it's a non-owner occupied property. It does describe the owner occupied in the bottom portion of every assessment notice in the state of South Dakota. We did have an application submitted to our office in March 20th of 2020 stating that she was the owner and she occupied it, but she did miss the deadline, which would be the March 15 deadline. Once the application was submitted, another notice was sent to Ms. Brady stating that your application did not meet the March 15 deadline. It stated that we would send her a new application next year, which prompted Ms. Brady to appeal through the Board of Equalization. Assessor's recommendation is to deny the owner occupied status because the appellant missed the March 15, 2022 deadline.
Again, is Wanda Brady present? If not, any discussion or questions for staff?
She did submit notice to the board. That was, I think that's in your docket as well.
So Carla, just let me ask a question just for everybody's edification, or at least mine. So if somebody misses the deadline and they've made the request and said they were living there as of, whatever date, that they need to file another application? It doesn't qualify them for the next year?
Yep, we code that into a couple different places to send them a new application because we had to deny this last one. So therefore, that application was denied, so we need a new application that would be approved.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
For future years, can we just create a form that allows them to apply anyway? So we don't have to deny it and make them fill out more paperwork? So it'll just roll over to the next year instead of having to do multiple applications?
That's what I'm wondering. Okay, so it's denied for this year, but why isn't it approved for next year at the same time? I mean, is that state statute? Are these forms coming from the state?
I don't think it's a state statute. It's more of an office practice because we denied this application. So this application is not
A valid application.
valid.
Yeah, I understand the logic.
Okay,
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely. I'm just wondering, can we just go the extra step now and add on to their a rollover function? So yeah,
Yeah,
you would deny the first part of the
Right.
application, but then the second part, further down the sheet, would be bound over and processed for the next year.
I would definitely look into that option. Absolutely. It would
But-
save another mailing or two.
I totally support that. The scenario will be, though, they may not be occupying it then those dates. If you follow my, they may not be occupying on the next round of dates that are required for the document, so.
Yeah, you would just need to put on there, yes or no, you gonna occupy it or not? And
Going to versus
Yeah.
does,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'll look
good
into
luck.
some
Thanks.
options.
Thank you.
I move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion by Poppins, a second by Commissioner Aaron's. Sean, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's?
No.
Commissioner Gibbon?
No.
Commissioner Poppins?
No.
Commissioner Schmidt?
No.
Commissioner Landine?
No.
Getting dizzy. Let's see. The next action that is on the commission docket for county boards of equalization is to approve the continuation of tax exempt status. In your shared folder is a spreadsheet that lists all of the exempt applications that need to have a continuation of exempt application submitted to the equalization office. We will be hearing one new application and I believe 7 others that are, they're new, they're long for applications. They're new because the percentage of exemption could change each year. So, but the first step is to approve everything that's in the white. They're continuous exemption properties located throughout South Dakota that are required by law to submit a continuation of application. I apologize that this is very small and hard to read. I believe within your assessors, your civic clerk, you can expand and make this a larger PDF. These are properties that are again, they were previously tax exempt. The status of that has not changed. They're still owned by the same corporation or organization, and they're still being used exclusively for that exempt purpose that they had the previous year.
So are the item 5, these are all already approved
Yes.
exemptions
Just
on
need
this
a
document?
formal approval by the commission to grant the continuation of exemption for these properties.
Okay, we've heard the request. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Sean, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's?
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon?
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins?
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt?
Yes.
Commissioner Landine?
Yes. And Carla, if that's something that can be put on the consent agenda next time, maybe that's what we should do.
Yes.
All right, next one.
The next few will be, exemptions will be new or changed exemptions. They are required by law to fill out a long form each year because of their percentage of completion, or percentage of exemption. The first exemption that we have in the docket is, oops, kind of sideways. Can you change that? It is parcel number 270.20.05.006. It's owned by Harrisburg Economic Development. Per statute, they are eligible for tax exemption because they are they're a local development corporation. By law, $750,000 where for our local development folks are exempted from taxation. Lincoln County has not met that cap of the 750. Therefore, the report of investigation by the Director of Equalization, I have approved or make a recommendation to exempt it for the 2022 assessment year.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second. Thank you. Sean, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's?
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon?
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins?
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt?
Yes.
Commissioner Landine?
Yes.
That was our one and only new one for this year. Now, the next set will be a series of properties that were previously had a portion of their valuation exempt last year, and we just need to confirm that percentage is still valid for the 2022 assessment year.
You need those one at a time.
I think it'll be easier doing this way. It is a property owned by Avera McKinnon. It's parcel 282.05.001. It's legally described as the northwest quarter, excluding lots H1 and H2 and tract of Prairie View Addition. Section 16, Township 100-50. They qualify based on codified law 10-4-9.3 as a nonprofit healthcare facility. They are with verification stating they are 99% exempt from taxation, therefore making them 1% taxable for the 2022 assessment year. And I believe this is the clinic and the hospital. That's what the specific use is of the property.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Sean, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Next one, Carla.
Our next parcel for exemption is also owned by Avera McKinnon. It's parcel 282.05.02.003, Lot 3, Block 2, Avera McKinnon South Addition in Sioux Falls. It's the Addiction Center. Also under South Dakota Codified Law 10-4-9.3, it's a nonprofit healthcare facility. Its 100% use is for inpatient, outpatient treatments with chemical dependency. The assessor recommendation is recommending 100% exemption on this property.
Move for approval, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank
Second.
you. I have a motion by Schmidt, a second by Commissioner Aaron's. Sean, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes.
Thank you. Our next property is also owned by Avera McKinnon. It's parcel 280.98.11.000, Block 11, a Diamond Valley addition to the city of Sioux Falls. Under South Dakota Codified Law 10-4-9.3, they're eligible for exemption for nonprofit healthcare facility. It is used for 100% charitable and religious under the clinics and support services. Therefore, the assessor's office recommendation is to grant the 100% tax exemption.
Move for approval, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Sean, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes.
Next property is also owned by Avera McKinnon. It is parcel number 281.19.00.001. It's Lot 1, Avera McKinnon Behavioral Health to the city of Sioux Falls. Addition, under South Dakota Codified Law 10-4-9.3, under nonprofit healthcare facility. It is their behavioral health hospital, clinics, and retail pharmacy. That's what's within the structure. They are requesting 99% tax exempt, therefore being taxed at a 1% taxable rate. And I want the board to understand they do supply documentation on what percentage is of that facility is being rented out per se. So they do supply that documentation to the Equalization office. Therefore, with the proper documentation, under the investigation that I'm supposed to do, I am recommending a 1% taxable valuation for this property.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Thank you. Is there a
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gibbon. Sean, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes.
The next property is also owned by Avera McCannon. It is parcel number 281.74.02.002, Lot 2, Block 3, Sioux Falls, Minnesota Crossing Edition. It is an athletic training facility. They are indicating on their form, they fill out these forms every year for us, and they are not requesting any type of exemption on this property, but they do fill out the form, so I have to address it to the board at this time. Under the report of an investigation by our office with the help of Avera McCannon, I am requesting that this property be 100% taxable.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
Thank you. Is there, Sean, go ahead, call the roll.
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes.
Very similar to the last one. It's owned by Avera McKinnon, parcel number 282.05.02.001, Lot 1, Block 2, Avera McKinnon South Edition, City of Sioux Falls. They are requesting 0% exemption. Therefore, under the investigation and the recommendation by the Director of Equalization, I'm requesting it to be 100% taxable.
All right, further request?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Sean, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes.
This is kind of a twofold application. We originally sent out a continuation of tax exemption, and they filled that particular exemption out. But they also, because it did meet the requirement for 100% to continue to have the exemption, but they also filled out the full application. So that's why I'm addressing it at this time. This was the last application that we received in this office. It is owned by Chapter 289 of the Experimental Aircraft Association, parcel number 100.50.80.0030. It's lease site Q in Skyhaven, Section 30, 150, which is Delapree Township. They are exempt for the benevolent exemption under South Dakota Codified Law 10-4-9.2. After the review and the previous exemption status, the Director of Equalization is recommending 100% exemption of the property. It's on lease site, so it's a building and there's no land attached to it. Just a building on lease site.
All right, is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Sean, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes.
Our last application for exemption is the Home Builders Association. It's parcel number 281.27.05.002, Lot 2, Block 5, Garden Village Edition in City of Sioux Falls. They are exempt under the benevolent exemption, South Dakota Codified Law 10-4-9.2. This is their exemption number. They are requesting an exemption of 5.3%. This is very similar to the exemption that they submitted last year for the 2021 assessment year. Based on all of the documents that they submit, the assessor's office is recommending for this property to be 5.3% exempt on the land and 5.3% exempt on the structures.
So moved.
Second.
And thank you. I've got a motion to approve with a second. Sean, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes.
There is one more application for exemption that I put off today because it's under an appeal. So we can do that exemption after the board's decision on the appeal. Okay. The next item on the agenda is a series of properties that I am requesting for the board to deny their appeal based on a couple different reasons. Carter, can you pull that up on the, what the commission docket is? In the commission packet, there are 6 properties that missed the deadline. They either filed it to the wrong person or after the legal appeal date. They are listed right here. So the first 2 did not submit their appeal to the local board of equalization, which would have been the city of Sioux Falls. The 3 through 6 did not submit their appeal to the proper authority, and they missed the deadline. Under South Dakota Codified Law 10-11-27, no complaint concerning property assessed in any district having a local board of equalization shall be considered unless it is first made to such local board, except a non-resident owner or a non-resident taxpayer of the taxing district may be heard without such original complaint. These folks did not go to their local board. I do have a copy of the assessment notice that clearly states that you must first go to your local board of equalization. If people are filing an appeal through the Lincoln County Appeals website process, the first thing, once they get into an appeal, it states, please make sure that you are filing the application for the city or township that the parcel is located. I mean, there's their second indication. In any time that anybody calls and wants to hand us an application for an appeal, we say, we're not those folks, you need to submit it to your local board of equalization. They can't hand it to me. They have to hand it to the proper authority. And these folks that are listed did not meet those requirements.
So maybe this is being hyper-technical, but it says no complaint shall be considered. I mean, the word is that we're not even going to consider it because it didn't meet those deadlines. So do you actually need anything from us?
Did the Department of Revenue?
Yep, I did contact the Department of Revenue for some guidance on these, and they recommended that a formal denial by the County Board of Equalization was their recommendation.
Did you need them individually?
No.
Okay. So I've heard the request on these parcels. Is there a motion?
So the action would be to approve the denial by the Department, or Equalization for these, on the reasons that were stated. I would so offer that motion.
I'll second it, Madam Chair.
So I have a motion to approve the denials on these 6 properties. Any further discussion? If not, Sean, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
No.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Is that the last thing for
That
today?
is the last item on our agenda.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to recess as County Board of Equalization?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
Thank you. Sean, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Then I would like a motion to reconvene as County Board of Commissioners.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Sean, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Thank you. Yes. We are on item 16 of our agenda. We have a CCOG revised joint
Item
cooperative
15.
agreement.
15.
Oh, we got the tabled item. Why did I want to skip that? All right. Who's presenting on that?
We could cut to the chase. I have a recommendation to go with American engineering testing for the purposes of the airport projects.
I second that.
All right. We got a motion and a second. Any questions or further discussion? If not, Sean, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Then we'll move on to item 16.
Okay, so CCOG sent the requested resolution and agreement. The major change being that they are adding the city of T as a first-class municipality, which would increase the cooperative members from 12 to 13 and reduce the private representatives from 8 to 7 till overall size of the board would remain at 21. So we
So
have a
move.
resolution and an agreement in there to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? If not, Sean, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Next
I've
item.
attached the resolution recommended by the bond council to redeem some of the bonds on the courthouse building since they are in a call status. I just need approval of the resolution.
We've heard the request. Is there a motion?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? If not, Sean, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes.
So my last item is board action regarding the land south of the highway shop. We do request one of 3 actions. Authorized to advertise to sell the land by bid, authorize an RFP for realtors to sell the property, or continue to lease the property as ag use.
Which would require us to advertise it.
Yes. And I have talked to the person that was previously renting it, and he's fine with waiting for the advertisement to come out.
Madam Chair, I did have someone reach out to me and wanted to know what we were doing with the property currently this growing season. That person was interested in farming that parcel of land if that's what we decided to do. I realize.
Madam
that,
Chair, I'll offer a motion to re-advertise it for lease for 1 year and put a hold on until other decisions have been made concerning the courthouse responsibilities until that has been determined. So that's my motion.
I'll second that motion.
All right, I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, Sean, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes,
Commissioner Poppins,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes.
Just for clarification, Sherry, how soon could we have it advertised and be asking for are
I'm
taking it.
thinking no later than the second Tuesday in May.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, last item on our agenda. We have a public input work session regarding a CO2 pipeline crossing Lincoln County.
And Madam Chair, with that, I'm going to have to step down.
Okay, have a good day.
Thank you.
Commissioner Schmidt, you're gonna tee that off, or?
Thank you, Commissioner Landine. We have, I think it was last week, we applied for a party of understanding so we could register our concerns, whatever, about the CO2 pipeline that is crossing our county, which was approved, and now we're going to have an ability for those individuals that have concerns or supports or whatever to air their particular points of view for information that the county can take under advisement on what action we would decide to take in the future. There will be no proper form or action taken today, but we want to give you ample time to register your concerns about this pipeline, and so it is your time. And I think we've allotted about 30 minutes, Madam Chair, for this. And
Correct.
the 5-minute rule will probably be into effect, so you got the lights up front. So whoever wants to appear first certainly can, so this is your time.
I'm Carol Hoynes. I'm a landowner here in Dayton Township, and the proposed pipeline was running directly across the 80 acres of my quarter of land there. We've been attending the meetings for the PUC. I've written to the PUC. This pipeline is very hazardous, is dangerous. I think you were sent a video. I hope you've all had a chance to preview that of what happens if there were a potential break in the pipeline. If not, somebody might be able to pull that up for you. I wrote each of you a letter. I hope you had some previous acknowledgement of that. I also wrote to Governor Nome, and I wrote to the Department of Agriculture. And just to be very brief on this, I thank you for declaring status, because that will help us in our fight. I hope you will review that video again, which was an 8-inch pipeline that was going through a test spot. They opened a valve and let the carbon dioxide escape, and it seeps all over. What you see is a white cloud of vapor. The carbon dioxide actually stays on the ground and spreads out further. As far as they want to put a 20-inch pipeline through our property, which is much larger. And we would like your help in writing to the PUC, if you would, and voicing some opinions, and maybe perhaps putting in some ordinances for Lincoln County landowners so that we have some things in place. And I am going to write again to the PUC. I received this back from Brian Walsh, who is the State Department of Agriculture, and he says, we always get conflicting information on this. The PUC has, the permitting authority lies with the PUC Commission for this pipeline. If the project will comply with all applicable rules and laws, we will not, these are the rules and laws, that it will not pose a serious threat or injury to the environment or social economic conditions in the project area, and that it will not substantially impair the health, safety, welfare of the people near the pipeline, and unduly interfere with the orderly development of the region. I feel that last statement was very important because this is hazardous. I talked to a person from the pipeline representing their company from Dallas, Texas, or down in the Texas area. Well, he says, why are you opposed to this? It runs right through my property, it goes all the way through. I said, do you raise corn and beans down there? No. I said, so, he says, I'm a rancher. I said, so you have cactus and sagebrush and you have a pipe going through. You don't have a farmer going back and forth across that pipeline. If we have a wet year and a combine sinks down, they only want to put it in 4 foot deep. It'll break that pipeline. Frost heaves will break the pipeline. So I don't think it should be allowed to go through South Dakota. I expressed that at the meeting. I talked to a land agent and told him I do not want it on my property. And I'll withdraw my time.
Thank you, Carol.
Jason, were you going to show a clip today at all?
I never got a chance to submit it to the auditor.
Oh,
I did share it with Harold saw it.
All
okay.
right.
I think you all have it.
Yeah.
At some point.
Anybody else want to come up and speak? Good morning. State your name and address.
Good morning, Joy Hone. Thank you for the opportunity to voice our concerns. Last Friday, Summit changed their route to one of their alternatives with the PUC on the same date as the party status deadline. We believe that there are many landowners that are unaware that this pipeline could be crossing their land and/or going close to their homes. Since the party status deadline was last Friday, how can these unsuspecting landowners be involved in the PUC process with all the reroutes that Summit is continually making? After being a landowner where the Dakota Access Pipeline crossed, we know that it takes time to become informed, process this information, and if desired, become an intervener. There is still so much confusion on where the proposed route will be in Lincoln County and in other counties throughout our state. Unlike other pipelines, this pipeline is getting people's attention. If you look on the PUC website and look under party status applications, you will see that 373 have been filed, and they generally for a docket receive the most 100, is what I was told. This is why the counties that, or I should say the people that have filed are, these applications are counties, cities, townships, first responder departments, water systems, gas utilities, electric utilities, besides landowners and other concerned citizens. We really need your help. We need your help to be the voice for these unsuspecting landowners and to be the voice for concerned citizens and landowners. In the future, we would like to ask the county to send a letter to the PUC stating the concerns of the citizens and landowners of Lincoln County, and after hearing and researching this pipeline, formally opposing this unnecessary and very hazardous pipeline. This pipeline could pose the threat of serious injury and could substantially impair the health, safety, and welfare of many citizens of South Dakota. In addition, we would like to request the county to place a moratorium in order to study appropriate ordinances for Lincoln County, such as setbacks and depth requirements. Summit does not need another profit-making scheme that is risking our lives and our land. It's ridiculous to even consider this potentially deadly pipeline. Don't our lives and our land matter? That's why we are asking you, commissioners, to please protect us.
Thank you.
Morning. Thank you. My
morning.
name is Dale Bonema. I am associated with Bonema Harvest Farms, which we have the letter that they were associating with us. I do have that video on my phone. I don't know how good you could see it. I would love to show it to you if that's okay, if I can find it here and bring it up. It is dangerous. This cloud you are seeing is 196 feet tall. This is from an 8-inch pipeline simulating the rupture, and that is frozen water vapor. That's not the natural gas that you see. It is odorless, it is colorless, you cannot see it. Wait for it, and the dry ice explodes, and when that happens, this goes to a 1/4 mile wide, and this is from an 8-inch pipeline. I'm trying to bring out just how dangerous this pipeline really is. CO2 is odorless, colorless, and heavier than air. It stays in pockets, and it can be, what do you want to call it, drift or blown with the wind. So you may have an accident happen, and you may have to evacuate the whole town of Canton in a pipeline that's this big. According to what I've been told, the valves are approximately 32 miles apart in a 20-inch pipeline under 2,100 pounds of pressure. This is dangerous. This is not considered a hazard. This is a hazardous liquid pipeline. And there are no parameters for this by our government whatsoever. Right now, the parameters are for a hydrogen pipeline, not a CO2 pipeline. And I have another paper here that if you, I think some of this may have been sent to you. It is written by this pipeline safety, thing. And he goes on to say how dangerous this is and how it can explode. If you read it, this is actually page 8, 9 at the bottom. I will read it to you here. This area potentially impacts the rupture of an oil and gas line pipeline as well as define current February regulations, which estimate how far liquid hydrogen carbon will spread with a blast radius resulting from natural gas pipeline ruptures. The danger zone for human life in the hazardous hydrocarbon liquid and natural gas line is measured in feet. Abate thousands of feet for a larger pipeline. Then, on the next page, he states, in contrast, your CO2 pipeline impact area may be measured in miles, not feet. This is likely because the CO2 rupture can release many tons of CO2. The compressed CO2 will expand into a gas upon the pipeline rupture and fill large volumes that it did not take inside the pipe. The CO2 may disperse quickly because it is not, or may not disperse quickly, heavier than air, meaning that it will flow towards and settle in low-lying areas, including ravines, valleys, and basements. And you, as a person outside, may walk out of your house and not even know it's there. It's odorless, it's colorless. If it's over, between 5 and 8%, you will become nauseated, have headaches, could throw up, and pass out. If it's over 8%, you will actually be euthanized. You will be dead.
Thank you, Dale.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to come up?
One other comment I had, I wish you commissioners would put at least a 1,500-foot setback on this because of how dangerous it is.
Good morning, Carla.
Carla Lems, 47980 281st Street, Canton. I'm just here to express just personally my concern with this pipeline, as well as I've just heard from so many other landowners and just people in general that are also concerned about it. I have so many, but I'll just list four today, four concerns that I have. And our background is we have worked with pipelines in the past, most recently Dakota Access and Northern Natural Gas. It's not necessarily a fun process, but it was something that we saw that we needed as a needed commodity for our community, our state. My number one concern with this is the safety issue, as well as other people have also said. You know, this is a very dangerous gas. If there were to be a break in the line, would we have the emergency services that would be needed? And, you know, like as mentioned before too, the CO2 displaces oxygen. My number two concern is the land values. That, you know, you have a pipeline like that goes through. I mean, we're talking about, you know, not only the land that it's going through, but adjacent land. And like he said, I mean, I think a setback of at least 1,500 feet would be at least what we would need. Also, number three, the liability to the landowners. There's been concern that you would not be able to get insurance for something like this as a landowner. And my last concern is the eminent domain. We have a private company right here that will profit from land that could possibly be taken by eminent domain. I see this as a dangerous precedent being set for a private company to be able to come in and get eminent domain. Our founders understood that private property is the foundation of our freedoms, and I think we need to protect that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to come up?
Hello, my name is Linda Nichols. First, I want to thank you for allowing this, for the public to be heard on this hazardous pipeline. As others have pointed out, significant concerns in the comment section of the PUC docket, there's over 80 comments. And party applications, party status applications, there's over 350. I share all those concerns as well. The hazardous pipeline will permanently affect land values, substantially impair farming yields, pose a threat of serious injury to a large amount because of the large amount of high pressure CO2. The use of eminent domain for a for-profit company, the undue interference of cities' growth, and the potential environmental impact of decades to centuries of storing millions of metric ton of CO2 underground. Does South Dakota need to be a CO2 hazardous pipeline? Research says no. There's a high level of research being done now called the new carbon technology economy. Some are environmentally motivated, some are economically motivated. Either way, it's a very popular area of research. Carbon is now recognized as something too valuable to waste. And that was from David Bomstein, an article saying changing what is possible for the new carbon economy. Much of the research that is aimed at converting CO2 into other chemicals or minimizing or eliminating it from the fermentation process. The objective is to close the carbon cycle and not waste it. The research is being promoted and supported by the Department of Energy and is being carried out at very technical, capable organizations such as MIT, NREL, Stanford, as well as many private companies. There is an enormous amount of pure CO2 available. One thing unique about ethanol biorefinery is the amount of purity of the CO2 product from the fermentation process. According to the Summit application, 12 million tons annually. If carbon is becoming too costly to waste, why would we take 12 million metric tons per year of pure CO2 and inject it into the ground? Can't something better be done with it? The National Renewable Energy Laboratory published in February of 2022, the title was Beyond Fossil Carbon. Green electricity is opening doors to low emission alternatives for making fuels and chemicals. In the article, Joshua Swindell, laboratory manager, states, the advancements we're seeing, the activity we are seeing, we will have commercial offerings in the next 5 to 10 years. I think there is opportunities to get down to cost competitiveness, especially as you start to consider any low carbon credits that come along. This research suggests that there's a good chance that technology of carbon capture, liquefaction, pipeline transport, and burying underground will be obsolete in the not too distant future. Why would we let South Dakota be a hazardous CO2 pipeline highway when the biorefinery could capture and convert carbon at their site into products that they could turn around and sell? In closing, I would like to request that you, the commissioners of Lincoln County, do 3 things. Pass a moratorium regarding hazardous carbon pipelines, pass ordinance and setbacks and minimum depth requirements on the hazardous pipelines, write a letter of opposition to be filed on the PUC docket HP 22-001. Please consider these above requests to protect the citizens and land against this very hazardous and unnecessary CO2 pipeline. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to come up?
Hello, Commissioners. Chase Jensen. I am a organizer with Dakota Rural Action that's been working with landowners up and down the route since last November related to this pipeline. I have a few concise comments here from the thousands of people that I've been communicating with and contact with throughout the route, landowners, local officials. I want to name that 14 of the 18 counties crossed did apply for intervention. The call that the PUC made in their public hearings that they would take seriously the opinion of local elected officials clearly was heard. And as noted, there was a huge amount of people who filed, around 370 for party status.
Jace, which 4 counties did not apply? If you know.
Minnehaha, Sully, Coddington, and the last I can't recall off the top of my head. The 4 key concerns that I've heard come up from the hundreds of landowners I've been at meetings with talking about this issue is first the safety. I think that's been adequately named. This is a potentially lethal situation. And of course, no one is running around saying it's going to fail at every juncture, but the risk of rupture is real. And even if the risk is low in frequency, the detrimental effect that that rupture would have is significant and needs to be taken into account. Connected to that is the need for first responders to be trained in the event that you have millions or metric tons of carbon being released. It's heavier than oxygen, displacing oxygen. First responders would need full set of contained oxygen equipment. Even combustible engines will not run. They saw that in a rupture down in Mississippi. Vehicles were stalling out. So there's serious concerns about the logistics of handling a rupture. And if a company wants to come and do business, they should have to pay the full public safety costs in order to do that. The lack of transparency from the company has been named. There's confusion on who is being crossed. And so a lot of people didn't get an application for party status. They didn't know if they were on the route or not. And of course, the concern of eminent domain in the state. If a company gets permitted as a common carrier, they assume the right to eminent domain. So landowners' requests for y'all to be involved is because they have no other recourse legally. They can't stop this project from receiving eminent domain unless the local officials speak out. So the actions that have been requested, intervention, thank you for doing that, passing a moratorium, or setting aside a time to research zoning ordinances. There have already been counties that have done that, a handful of them. Some counties, Brown County, already passed a 1,500-foot setback and a 6-foot depth requirement. So you wouldn't be the first. There's already research. There's ongoing conversations that the county commissioners can have with each other. And then the last thing really is intervening, putting in ordinances is significant to lay the groundwork. But in order to protect landowners from a private company being able to seize their land so that they can make profit while they socialize the risk, as someone put it, in order to stop that, we need counties and local officials to say, we do not want this project. And I think that that's the action that the commissioners at the PUC will take most seriously. If they see that every county along the route says, we don't want this for our citizens, we're representing their wishes, I think that they would really have to take that into account. So that would be a really bold action that I think would be one of the strongest things you could do to protect landowners with eminent domain laws as loose as they are right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to come up? I'm gonna ask this. Is there anybody else here that plans on speaking? Okay, I've got two more. So if we try to stick to our half-hour rule.
Mine should take about 2 minutes.
Go.
All right. I'm Linda Montgomery. I'm from Fairview, South Dakota. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I didn't know that this was on the agenda until today. I have a background as an Army reservist. I taught NBC, which is nuclear, chemical, biological warfare, and I'm also in the medical profession, a retired nurse practitioner. And I read an article about how safe these pipelines are. And it took me 2 minutes, well, actually, my husband took him 2 minutes to find 2 articles of what happened in Mississippi. They had a leak. No one knew. The population didn't know what was going on. People started dropping. They couldn't breathe, they couldn't see, they couldn't hear, and they had to, and the hospitals, the first responders didn't know what they were dealing with, the hospitals didn't know what they were dealing with. It took a while to know what was going on. Now, the responsibility I put us on the pipeline. That was one of the first things they should have done, was what happens if it leaks, and gave training. These people, when I wrote something about that, the big thing was no one died. Guess what? When you have carbon dioxide poisoning, or you are in a prolonged environment of high carbon dioxide, no one can tell you that this will be fine when you get out and it's gone, and this can last. Things like Parkinson's, things like confusion, people with COPD already, or people who didn't have COPD before this. I beg you to look at this and do what they say. Please write a letter. We don't need this in Lincoln County. We do not need this in South Dakota. It's a very easy online search to what happened in the areas where there was leakage or where there was rupture. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Nick Abbas, 46905, 281st Street. I'll just hit one point real quick so we can get out of here. For our county specific, I don't know what the newest proposed pipeline route is, but where it has been going is basically past Canton, Harrisburg, T, Lenox, and not far south of Sioux Falls. And constantly we're talking about we're one of the largest counties and one of the fastest growing counties in the nation. And putting in a pipeline like this would have a major negative impact to growth. And I mean, it just devalues the land, everything directly around it is less desirable. So especially if we're looking in the northern part of our county, I just wonder how it would negatively affect any growth moving forward. So I think that would be something else to consider among all the other good points brought up. So, all right, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Nick.
Scott Montgomery, Fairview, South Dakota. I sent all you guys a couple of articles a couple of weeks ago. I would ask that you look at those very closely. The movie, the Rupture, not so much as the engineering outfit. Read that article. Read what they're talking about there. Another thing I think we've all been led to believe we need to capture carbon. Research it. A volcano puts out more carbon than mankind ever has or ever will. We don't need to capture carbon. We don't need this pipeline. We've all been led to believe that we need to feel guilty for polluting the earth. It's not so. Mother Nature puts more carbon into the atmosphere than man ever will. Thanks.
Thank you. Good morning.
Morning, Jason Vanentop, 27745 481st Avenue, Canton. There's really not much more I can say than everyone else has shared with you. I will say this. We've all listened to the safety concerns, and I feel that is number one. We have a huge growing county, and I think we need to protect that. We need to protect our citizens of the state. Public enterprise is, if this was for the betterment of the country, I could maybe get along with it, like Dakota Access. We didn't have a great experience with them either, but it's oil, right? We need oil. This is, in my opinion, not necessary. If man's decided that we need carbon in the ground, I don't necessarily agree with that. If it was supposed to be there, God would have intended it, put it there himself. I just think it's dangerous. With that, thank you guys for doing party status, listening to us today, and certainly appreciate you guys with the consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Dale, do you want to say something new, Dale?
Well, I would just say that 6 feet deep, it should be a minimum, because at 4 feet deep, they're gonna hit every rural water line in your county.
Understood.
They're gonna hit how many tile lines that people don't even know about. I know Sioux County in Iowa, and I think on with a 9-foot minimum. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Sir?
I'm Rodney Miles, 27530 470th Avenue, Lenox. I've got the same concerns as everyone else here has, mainly the safety and the 6-foot depth instead of 4-foot. The use of eminent domain by a private for-profit company. I'm also concerned about the land values because in certain studies, you'll read up and basically see that with a hazardous pipeline, devaluation of property can be any place from 5 to 40%. And that's basically talking about a natural gas pipeline or oil pipeline. This is much more severe and dangerous than any of those. Basically, I'm concerned about the route that they're choosing in northern Lincoln County up here. And, with all the widening of Interstate 29 and all the construction that's going on, around that area, that's a disaster waiting to happen, I think, if this pipeline's in before all that is finished. And we need you guys' help to, pass some ordinances. I think, like with the wind towers, 1,600-foot setback, something, to protect the landowners, because these ethanol companies have all kinds of options to do exactly the same thing that they want to accomplish by this pipeline, but only at less profit to them. And I'm going to read you one statement. It's by Bill Lowry, Emergency Management Agency Director for the Southwest Region of Pipelines and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration. He was asked on camera, on record, would he build a house near a pipeline? And his response was, here's what I did when I bought my home. I looked on all the maps, I looked for all the dry holes and pipelines. When I found there was nothing but dry holes and pipelines in the area, I went ahead and built my house there. It's not that I'm afraid of pipelines. It's not because I think something will happen, but it's because something could happen. And that's just the reality of it, and we're always better with choices. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I think we've come full circle. Is there anyone that would like to add anything? All right. Well, thanks everybody for coming out and sharing
you.
your thoughts with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Now it's my understanding that we need to have an executive session. Is that correct, Bill? So I'd ask for a motion to go into executive session.
Madam Chair, I would so move for an executive session.
Thank you. Is there a
Under-
second?
Under what category?
Yep, South
Oh.
Dakota.
We are going to go into executive session under SDCL 125-2, sub 1. Yeah, I think that's all we need.
And the motion was by Schmidt?
Yes.
I had the,
I'll second it, Madam Chair.
thank you. Sean, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's? Yes. Commissioner Gibbon?
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt?
Yes.
Commissioner Landine?
Yes.
I'll second it.
Sean, will you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Aaron's?
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon?
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt?
Yes.
Commissioner Landine?
Yes. And I'd consider a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you, Sean.
Commissioner Aaron's?
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon?
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt?
Yes.
Commissioner Landine?
Yes.